It's Lebo with Lebo's Pinball. We're here back on the Star Trek game. Last time we had worked on getting all the plastics and posts and the bands all put back in, along with all the bulbs. And we also got down to getting the flippers put in place. But where we left last time, I didn't have these flippers clocked in place, and now they are. And also I was kind of playing around with the light bulbs, and I had started out with the warm white 2 SMD bulbs from Comet. Then I switched them over to the sun light bulbs. They were clear lens on all of them. I like the color of the sunlights on certain games, but for this one, even though I think it does look actually pretty good on it, I'm trying to keep it a little bit more of an original look, so I shifted back to the warm whites. And then while I was doing it, I was kind of running a little bit short on the warm whites that I had, so I actually had several of the bullet bulbs that are in a warm white, so I ended up switching these over yet once again. You probably can't really tell much of a difference in this video, but they have just a little bit more of a look of just the original incandescent bulbs. So that's where we're at on all these, and I'm really liking actually how it's looking. So now what we're going to do, we're going to flip things over on the bottom side. I've got bulbs put in and all the inserts, all the controlled lamps. So that part's good to go, and I've got this locked down and clocked like I mentioned a minute ago. The flippers are good, but I'm gonna take one more quick view of stuff on the bottom, and then we're gonna probably get ready to go put this back into the cabinet. We're gonna plug things up and see where we're at. We've got some work to do from there, but let's just see where we are at as kind of like a baseline. Here we go. All right, now with the playfield flipped over so we can look at the bottom side. Everything is actually in pretty good shape. Everything here with the pop bumpers, they're all operating correctly. This coil back here with the scoop or whatever, the saucer, that's really what it is. That's working out, fine. It's knocking the balls out fine. However, when I get over here to these little slings, this side, it seems to be working fine. There's really not much, it's kind of hard to show here, but there's really not much slop in the linkage. That's okay. But then I got looking a little closer to this guy, and it's like, oh, wait, what do we got going on here? There's a little bit of slop, but not only that, what do we got here? It looks like the little pin, I guess, that went from this arm over through the linkage probably either broke off or, because I think that's actually just, it's a post that's sort of attached through that. So that was probably, somebody's repair before to try to go take care of an issue there, which is really not a bad idea at all. It's just a little bit long, and they use looks like a couple nuts to kind of lock together, but there is a lot of slop in here. So even with that, taking the bolt out of the picture, the linkage has got a lot of slop in there. So we're gonna have to do something. I may actually have parts for this already. If not, that's another thing to go order. But let's take a look and see what we got. All right, we're taking these 3 screws out. There's the first one, second one, and there's the third one. Once we take these 3 out, what we can do is we can lift this coil with the bracket straight up off the plunger. Just sit to the side for now. Pull the spring off here, and let's kind of see what we got. Well, honestly, let's see what we got. That screw is super loose, and yeah, there's a lot of play in here. Now, what I don't know until I take that screw apart is, is this linkage just, worn out, or is it someone's put in a screw here, it's really small, and then it's just, a small screw and a much larger diameter hole that's in this linkage. And anyways, let's take this apart and see what we got inside. All right, so I got that whole arm, the plunger out, and I went ahead and took the screw and the nuts apart. So let's take a good close look to see what we got here. Well, number one, you can tell that linkage is no longer just a circle. It is very, I like to call it wallowed out. Lots of slop that's right inside that. Now, part of probably the reason why it's slopping so bad, or at least one thing that's contributing to it, this screw, you've got all these threads here that are just acting like teeth that are just chewing that all up. So even if I could put a screw back in here, I would want to put one that's kind of got just, you know, like a collar here and then a little bit of threads on the end. I don't know if I can get that or not. So what I am going to try to go do is just go look and see what's available. And I'm wanting to say that this is not something that's available. So we may have to be creative and come up with something for that. You know, the plunger and the linkage, those are available. And in fact, I think I've got a linkage that's similar to that, although the hole is a little bit bigger. So let's just go look to see what we can do and then go from there. So I got looking online to see if I could find a replacement for this. Really what I needed is to have, you know, a new arm that's got, you know, a new post that would have been staked here on the end. And the whole idea of trying to find some other kind of screw to put through this, it would have had to have been some kind of a screw that had, you know, like a shaft in the, or a collar or whatever, that the linkage could actually pivot on and then have that go through and then thread it on the other side to lock it down, because you can't tighten a screw that's going to tighten down on the link, because it defeats the purpose. You know, you just got to be able to swing around, or put like maybe a sleeve or something might have worked. But instead of going there at all, I just got looking around to see if anybody actually had a replacement. So my first go-to for some of the older games is to go to Pinball Resource. They're really good on EM games and some of the early solid state stuff. And I actually talked to Steve Young and said, nah, you're probably gonna have to come up with something different. So he didn't have what I needed. That's okay, but I got looking around just a little bit more before I got real creative, and turns out that I found this. This is through Action Pinball, which I've actually only ordered maybe stuff with them a couple times. I kind of keep forgetting about them, but I need to remember. So they had not the exact same thing, but it's a good alternative to it. Dimensionally, it looks really, really close. You know, like the length, if I were to try to line these up, there's a lot that's very close to it. I need to check out the plunger. Might be a touch longer. I'll see. That may or may not be an issue. I may have to transfer it over. But one thing that is a slight difference, but it's still not a problem. If you look at the where the bracket is, the mounting holes, even though you see you've got 3 that are here and 3, there's actually a 4th one. They don't line up exactly the same. It's hard to show here in the video. But what I think I'm going to end up doing is probably these 2 holes will probably end up lining up really close with what the original 2 holes were, pretty close. But this one hole that's over there, it turns out that I'm going to probably have to drill a new hole to line that up. But I got 2 of these so that they match and they act similarly. Even though the one on the other side was mostly okay, or at least it appears to, because I haven't taken it out. I think the linkage might have a little bit of slop on it, but this is good to refresh both sides. So I'm gonna go try putting this in. Okay, to kind of show you what we're dealing with. So that side lines up pretty good, and you can actually see if I throw that on here, you can see that the screw hole doesn't line up real good there, but the little bit of the problem is that you've got you're pretty close to the edge. So what I will, let me think about it. I'm either going to try to maybe fill in that hole with some toothpicks, add a little bit of wood to kind of firm it up a little, and then drill in a little pilot hole in the wood to get it over closer. I don't know, that may not be a good idea, because that's not going to have a whole lot of material, wooden material, to get to it. So the other option, or probably we'll try doing, is maybe see if I can open this hole, just kind of go to the left here a little bit, just enough that I can get the screw to fit in that hole. That's probably the smarter way to do this. And that hole in the bracket in the middle, that goes to nothing. So yeah, let's do that. Let's try doing the little cut here in the middle and then test fit it. All right, so I cut the bracket there on the side, and I've got it all screwed in place. Didn't have to go do anything silly like re-drilling holes in the playfield. That would have been a problem if we needed to reverse it. And it's actually seeming to work fine. If I look at the, that's a little hard to see. We have got this angled, but it's seems to be hitting right where it needs to. So the only other thing is that this plunger is just a tiny bit longer. So I did put the, put the plunger into the coil to just kind of test to see how far it would go until it would hit the coil stop. It's hard to do with one hand. And I don't have it screwed down. But I'm going to give it a shot. I think that it's going to be okay, even with it being just a tiny bit longer. If it's not, then the next plan is to come back and I can maybe swap this plunger with the old one, just drive that pin out and put it in. The other tiny little difference too is that this linkage, the distance here, I think from the pivot point up to that little plateau where the spring hits is just a little bit different. So best thing to do is just, we're gonna try putting it together, just see how it works, and then if all's good, then we'll move over and knock out the other side too. All right, so I got it mounted in here, and actually I think I'm liking it pretty good. As far as like the throw is concerned, it's very aligned, so I think it's good, and I think it's throwing enough to actually throw that sling out. So we're gonna go with that. I'm gonna go ahead and put the other one in on this other side, so they're both the same, and then we'll do one last quick overview on this, but I think we're gonna be putting this back into the cabinet and then just kind of going from there. This one is now installed as well. I tell you what, I'm glad I did it, because this other one, even though we don't have the broken little pin or whatever it is, a little stud, see how it's normally just clipped in there? And this one that was the goofy one that had the screw through it. Even still, this one has, it's hard to do one-handed, but there's a bit of slop in here. So I was going to need to rebuild that with a new link or something. So I think we are now ready to take the playfield actually off of the rotisserie and put it back into the game and hook the cables back up and then just kind of see where we're at. I don't expect any problems, but what I'm expecting is the lights on this are going to flicker really bad. I've already gone and replaced all of the controlled lamps. I talked about that earlier with doing the lamps that were all the GI lights, and while I had this apart also, I went ahead and replaced all the controlled lights. And basically, I think I should mention this too. It's warm white everywhere, except for whenever they have like a green insert. I like to put a green, just a green lamp in here. Now, this one's a clear one. All of them are clear. None of them underneath here are actually frosted. There might actually be maybe one or two that are frosted in a couple special places, but I only put colored ones in for the green ones and the red ones. Everything else is going to get warm white. And it's I just try to make it look, still try to kind of preserve the original look without doing, weird color effects. I just don't like that look on these older games. So, all right, let's put this, let's flip this over and take it off the rotisserie and get it in the cabinet. All right, so we got the playfield back in. We got all the cables reconnected. And now it's time to flip it back on and just kind of get a baseline of where we're at. Now, one thing I do expect is the control lights on the inserts, they're going to flicker really bad on purpose because we have not replaced the light driver board. And that will totally take care of all the issues. But otherwise, it should actually function and everything should work. So let's just go ahead and power it up. All right, light up. Okay, good so far. All right, well that is a good sign. Let's see if I can start a. Well, I don't have a ball here, but let's try starting a game. Hey, that's good. All right, let's flip this panel back over. All right, let me grab a ball just to see where we're at. It's not been back together in quite a while, so there we go. Ball kicked over. That's good. Flippers are good. And here the flickering inserts, I'm sure that's coming across the video pretty bad. It looks really, flickering a lot in real life. So yeah, you definitely got to put that board in. That will clean that up considerably. But let's just kind of see how things are going. Flippers feel good already. That's nice and solid. Oh, yeah. All right, well, this is major headway. So I think probably the next step is going to be focusing on the back box now. We're going to be looking at replacing, like I said, that light driver board, and we're going to jump in on the other boards. We're going to freshen them up, or there may be some other replacements here and there. But thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.